Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be detailing how to message OnlyFans subscribers as an OnlyFans model or potentially as an agency or a chatter working on behalf of a model. Before we dig into that, just an intro to myself. My name's Ollie. I've been in the make money online space for a number of years now, running multiple different businesses, including e-commerce stores, a social media marketing agency that is currently at a 6-figure run rate, and a successful OnlyFans management agency. And that is why you should feel comfortable consuming this information, because I've either done or am doing what you're trying to do. And clearly I make YouTube content as well around the topic of OnlyFans success. So subscribe to the channel and like this video to see more content of this style. But that's enough of that. Let's dig into how to actually message OnlyFans subscribers. Now, the first thing that you want to focus on when chatting to fans is building relationships over spamming them. And basically what you need to do is focus on making the experience as individual as possible for the fan. This will not only create an amazing experience for them and separate you from other creators and keep them coming back and subscribing for longer, but it will also allow you to charge a higher premium on your content, and it will make that content feel more personal to them, allowing you to charge a premium. Now, what we want to avoid at all costs is spamming fans. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, I'll use an example. So we took on a creator at the start of last month, and they'd been running their account for a number of years by themselves. And the messaging style that they had kind of been following was to just mass message fans content that they had created on a regular basis with quite a low price tag. And so they would just send these videos every day with a very short description of what the video was. And at first, I think this worked okay for them. They were getting people buy the content, but eventually people lost interest because it was completely unpersonal. If they hadn't watched the last video, they'd just get sent the next one and sent the next one and sent the next one. And in the end, there was absolutely no intrigue for the fan to purchase their content because that desire had been completely lost. Now, this model, we switched up the messaging frameworks that they were using. And within the first 30 days, we'd already increased her overall OnlyFans revenue by about 500%. And that should really detail to you or show to you how powerful building personal relationships with your fans is. So the next thing we want to cover is mass messaging. Now, the way in which we want to use mass messaging is kind of like a tool. We want to use it as a tool to, number one, extract information from your fans in regards to pay-per-view content, preferences, and things of that nature. But its primary use is going to be for initiating conversation and sparking our messaging flows or our pay-per-view content upsell flows. Now, a couple of things to note when using mass messaging to make it feel personal is to, number one, use personalization. You can use tools that will extract the first name of the fan, and we definitely want to make sure that we do this. And when you've got a higher subscriber rate, we want to segment fans into lists. So basically personalize the mass messaging as much as possible based on their preferences. Now, in regards to timings for mass messaging, there's going to be 3 main times that you're going to send out your mass messaging. That's going to be in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening. Now, each time of day should be used differently to message fans, and you definitely don't want to message each fan 3 times a day with mass message. So in the morning, what we want to do is basically focus on setting up conversation for later in the day when the fan is going to be in a more ideal spot to spend money on the OnlyFans account. But it's also a great time to work out preferences of the fan and find out any pay-per-view content that they would be interested in and that they'd like you to create. Now, within the afternoon, this is probably going to be your least used time, mainly because most fans aren't going to be available within the afternoon. And if they are, this is going to be the time that they're least willing to spend on your OnlyFans account. But once again, we're going to use it in the very same fashion to spark conversation for later in the day, but also to extract information about the fan themselves and just build a relationship, check in with them and see how they are. Now, our evening messaging is where it all takes off. Now, we want to use our evening messaging to mainly spark our messaging flows and initiate conversation so we can start generating the money from each fan on that evening. This will demonstrate to you clearly who is active on that evening, which fans to focus on that particular evening, and allow you to spark conversation with these fans. The next area that we're going to focus on is building scripts. Now, this is possibly the most important part of this video. Scripts is what is going to take your OnlyFans revenue to the next level, especially if you're not already implementing them. And a brief outline of what we use scripts for is to basically push fans down a messaging or pay-per-view path that provides an exciting experience for them. This allows you to make the utmost from each fan. Now, how much should you be aiming to make from each script? Now, this really does depend. It depends on the quality of the subscriber and it will change, but a rough guideline is between $100 to $200 for the average fan. And this is why it is so powerful. If you're just messaging aimlessly and trying to push people down upsells without following a proven script that works, potentially you can make anything between $20, $30, $40, $50. But scripts allow you to structure this process, test this process and optimize, and allow you to really generate the most revenue per fan. Another reason scripts are so powerful is that it makes it very, very easy for chatters that are working on the OnlyFans account to imitate the persona of the model, because they're following messages that have been created in line with that persona. And so fans won't have one interaction that matches one persona and another interaction matching another persona, which is incredibly important. If your fan at any moment senses your account is being managed by someone else, you can very quickly expect them to stop spending money on your account and potentially completely unsubscribe. This is so, so important. And it not only allows them to match the model's persona, but it also helps you increase their efficiency. They know exactly what they need to do. They have an exact path they need to follow to generate the most from each fan. Now, the final point on why scripts are so, so powerful is that it allows you to make the most out of each piece of content that you create. Each piece of content that you create has a genuine purpose in a sequence. And this is really, really powerful. A video that you would, potentially send on a one-off to a fan that you would charge $10, $15 for, on the low end, you can now charge potentially $50 to $60 because it is at the end of a flow where suspense and intrigue has now been built up in the fan's mind. Now, the next point is to use softwares to help you with this process. Now, my personal favorite chatting software at my agency is Super Creator. It's pretty much the only one we've ever used, and because it is ticked pretty much all of the boxes. What this will allow you to do is basically see what you've already sent to fans in your vault. It will allow you to see fans' spending habits and status, and allow you to set your pricing around what the fan is already spending. For example, if you've got a high paying fan that generally spends between $40 to $50 for a piece of content, and you go to send them a piece of content, say for $20, it will actually warn you that this is a lot lower than what this fan usually spends, and allows you to adjust it on that basis. And that is so, so powerful. It also allows you to message expired fans, and it has a whole host of other features. Now, if you're just starting out with OnlyFans, then potentially it's going to be on the expensive side for you. But once you're at a certain run rate, or potentially you're managing multiple creators, then you're definitely going to want to use this. And if you've got a high fan count and you haven't got a software that helps you with the messaging side of things, you're at a loss straight away. And just by implementing a software like this, you will see an uptake in your average revenue straight away. I'd definitely go and check them out. There could be others out there, but this is the one that we mainly use at my agency. Now, the next topic that we're going to cover is custom requests. Now, these are just so, so powerful, and you can generate an incredible amount of revenue from your custom requests. However, they won't come through on a super regular basis, but we want to make sure that we try and prioritize these and push these as much as possible. We want to get our fans in the habit of requesting custom content because of the premium we can charge for it. So a few very good ways to push across the idea is, number one, in your intro flow. So when a fan subscribes to the profile, within the first few messages, we really want to find out what their interests are, what their intrigues are, and try and push them on the idea of some custom content around that particular interest. Now, if we haven't managed to do it within our welcome flow, then what we actually want to do is to wait until we've pushed a fan through our messaging flow. And at the end of that experience, we can then ask them, what would you like to see next time? What would make this messaging flow better for you? Is there anything you'd like me to create for next time? And that is a very, very nice way of getting a fan that is already comfortable with spending money because they've already gone through our messaging flow, and then positioning a piece of content to them that we can then charge at a premium. And this is amazing. And it will create a lot of intrigue to the fan for the next time that they interact with you. And the final way to ask a fan what kind of custom content they want to see is just within mass messaging. So you can very easily position a mass message to pretty much all of your fans or to certain lists and just inquire about what kind of custom content that they would like to see or that they die to see. The final point I'm going to touch on in this video around messaging is creating lists. And lists are very, very useful. And what we want to do with lists is basically section off fans into different areas depending on their spending habits, their preferences, and things of that nature. It will allow you to group together your high spenders or your VIP fans, and you might want to treat them with a different experience to your lower spending fans. Maybe those higher spending fans are really keen on custom content, and so you're more comfortable with sending them free content that you would usually charge at a premium, for example. We also want to section out low spenders. There are going to be fans on the OnlyFans account that they're just not of the same quality. So we see it on our models accounts here at my agency, where we'll have fans that don't actually spend any money on the account apart from their subscription, but they will continually harass the model to try and meet them in person. And these are people that we generally want to avoid, and we don't want to spend our time talking to them because they're never actually going to purchase any content. So we would want to section them off into another list. The other styles of lists that we want to focus on is fetishes and preferences. So we want to section people off into those areas depending on their wants and needs. And again, this will allow you to charge premiums for any mass messages that you do send out and also the messaging flows that you initiate. So there you have it. They're my tips on how to generate the most per fan on an OnlyFans account. Now, if you implement the stuff that I've mentioned throughout this video, you will instantly see an uptake in the average revenue generated per fan. As I said before, one of the models that we took on the start of last month, we instantly increased her revenue by 500% within the first 30 days. And she was already generating a decent amount before that. So it is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Now, before I go, I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel and like this video. As I said before, I create content solely centered around OnlyFans success. And so if that is something that you are trying to obtain, then definitely check out my channel and check out the other videos. And I'll see you in another one.